My name is Cindy. Welcome to Phil's Sewing Virtual Club. And today we're going to show a demo on how to make this holiday banner. It's really simple. It's all done on Serger. So we're going to have some fun. What we're going to be using is the double fold bias binder. And we're going to use that to attach, and we're doing a rolled edge on the edge of a triangle. Now, we did use the flag fabric, and then what I did is I used FS 101 and fused that to the back side of the flag fabric, and then I put just a cone of cotton on the back. So what I did is I cut the templates of the triangles, and you can do just about any size you want, but this is the sizes that I used here. I used 8.5, and I just cut these out of paper. 8.25 by 7 3/4. That's 8.25 long, and this is 12 inches by 9 inches. So I just made this, and if you could see the difference in these sizes here, that's what I wanted to do, because I wanted to put the smaller one in between. Now you can do all this size, or any other size you want. It's totally up to you how you want to create that, but we're gonna show you how to first do the rolled edge. We used a woolly nylon on that, and that goes in the upper looper, and then we're gonna convert the machine over to a chain stitch, and then attach the bias binder and put the binding on. So can't wait to show you. We'll be right back. Okay, so after I fused my fashion fabric, the FS 101, and the backing, I just used a white cone of cotton. What I'm going to do now is I set up my serger for a 3-thread overlock rolled edge. So I've got that set up. I've got woolly nylon in my upper looper, which helps fill that area very well. Now what I'm going to do is, and I've got my differential feed just on N, so I'm going to put my thing under the foot, and you want to sew at a consistent speed. And what we're going to do is just finish all of the edges. And then stitch right off. So now we've got that. And I do have pins here, but you're always going to be cautious to keep these pins in the middle. So I'm going to take that one out now. Now that I've finished it on the edge of this, I'm going to trim off that tail so I can raise my pressure foot and push it all the way in. And I'm putting it right next to the knife. And then we'll stitch up this way. And then we're going to stitch the top, and I'm going to take the other pin out now. And we're going to do that with all of the triangles. Let's stick it in there. Cut off that tail. This is a little thicker, so you may have to just trim off the edge to get it going. Okay, so we've got our edges done, and what I'll do now is put fray check and let that dry, and then you'll just trim them off. So I'll go repeat that for all the triangles. If you are having trouble with pokies, some of this is sticking up. I can roll this, but you can use like a water soluble stabilizer that on top, and you'd stitch under the foot, and then this just rips away. So if you're having a lot of problems, depends on the fabric you're using, but if you are having a lot of pokies, you can do that, and it also gives a really nice fill to that edge. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to attach our bias binder and attach these pennants to the double wide bias tape. So I'm going to show you now how to set up for a chain stitch on the Baby Lock Triumph. So the first thing we're going to do is put that subsidiary looper down, and we're going to lock our blade down. So when we put our cover plate on, the cover stitch plate on, it's not going to hit that plate. So that's the reason. Now this is my cover hem table. Sorry. There we go. And you just pull that in. Okay, so I've got my Allen wrench here. I'm going to put it in threading. Then you turn your hand wheel and you heard it click. So now we're in threading position. So the first thing I want to do is I want to take out my overlock needle, and I'm going to move it over to the C1 needle. So I'm going to loosen that up a little bit because we're going to do this chain stitch left, and the left needle requires a C1. Because see, there's a little window here, and you can see that top of that needle hit there. When I know I'm all the way up, I'm going to tighten that Allen screw. Okay, so now we're set up for that. Next thing we're going to do is thread for our chain looper. And with the chain looper, we're going to thread here. I gotta stand up. And make sure it gets in that tension. You might want to floss it a little bit. You can feel it when it's got tension. So then we're ready to do the chain looper. So we're going to give ourselves some slack here. Make sure it's inside that, and it's going to actually throw the thread right over here, and you're just going to leave it right there. Next thing we're going to do is the C1 needle. And there's a little guy on the back. You can't see that, but it's just a little guide, and you're going to put it in the chain one tension, up and around, and we're going to slip it right in place. And now we're going to switch our needle threader over to the chain cover and push that down to engage it. Now I do like to have a nice blunt edge here. When I use this, it makes it so much easier. And you're just gonna lay your thread here. And okay, and there it was. So you've got everything threaded. Now with the chain stitch, I like to start stitching on the fabric. So you need some kind of fabric to start stitching that on. But we're going to check our other settings right here. So our stitch length 2 to 4, and I've got it on 3. And our chain tension now on something like the chain stitch, you want to increase that to like 4 or 5. But I'm gonna just keep it at 4 for now. And if you start getting loops on the back, you want to tighten that up. So we're ready here. Okay. And it doesn't matter what you got the stitch. So we have to turn our hand wheel, and that will engage that subsidiary looper down now. So now I can close my table, put it back on serging. And okay, and I'm gonna just start this on a piece of scrap. I wanna make sure my stitches are engaging and we got something under that needle. So yes, it's working well. Everything looks good. Okay, so on the banner that I made, I had 2 smaller ones and then a large one. I'm just going to show you with this, but I put 2 together and then the center of this one in front. So this is how I did it, and then you find the center. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of mark that and stitch it on with a bias binder. Now let me show you how to install that. Now to install the knit woven fold bias binder, I'm using the 15 millimeter. So I cut my strips at 1 7/8. So that's what it tells you, 48 millimeters, which is about 1 7/8. So this is what it looks like, and this little contraption here, you want to pull that out. And what we're going to do is we're going to line this up, and it takes some adjustment, but you're going to lay this down on the bed of your serger, and we're at this 1 needle. So, and then you take your thumb screws, and you want to tighten them, but not all the way, because you want to be able to adjust it. And I've got my all-purpose foot on with the bias binder. Okay, so another thing I did is I took a roll of toilet paper, you know, it was empty of course, and I cut my strips 1 7/8. Another thing I did is you want to open up your seams, because you're going to have that, and on the side that goes in I used a Wonder Tape, and that'll temporarily hold that so that when it goes through this binder, it doesn't open it up. You really only need to do it on one side, but you want to make sure that you press that open, and that will help with that feeding and avoid the bulk. Another thing I did is I put it on a thread stand. So this thread stand is going to really assist me with keeping this flowing. So the first thing you're going to do when you're threading your bias binder is I usually fold it and I make a point. So I'm going to cut like here and just make a point. It just makes it so much easier. And the right side's going to face the machine. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to weave this through this little contraption here. And if you see, that's see how this is staying down now? That's staying down because I've got that Wonder Tape on there. And you're going to feed it right through here, and I like to use my Allen wrench just to get it started here, and you'll pull it through. And then there's this other section you're going to stick in here, and you've got this little window here, and here it's pulled out. Okay, so see it, these edges are curling that tape. So what you want to do is you want to pull this so it's coming under the foot. There we go. Gotta raise my foot. And you're gonna pull it under the machine. Now I can see where my needle position is. And you're just gonna have to play with this. It might be hard to see on camera here, but once you've got it aligned, you can then tighten your screws. So we're just gonna, you always want to stitch off some so that you can see, and of course you're gonna use a red thread. Oh, I gotta put my foot down. And it's just gonna feed through. Okay, it's pretty close to the edge, so I want to move it to the left instead of the right. So move that up here, and let's try that. And if you could see here, let me get off a little bit more. I've got it a little bit too far now, so I'm gonna, like I said, it's just trial and error. And you want to watch to make sure this is it. You want to keep an eye on that too. So I think that's going to be a good distance right there. Okay, after I found a good distance for the bias binder, everything loaded, I want to make sure my thumb screws are, and you're going to tail off, make a tail. However long you want that tie. So now what I've done here is I've pinned way down here, but these two are going to meet. See, these two are going to meet, and then I'm putting the middle of this one right here. Now on the one I made earlier, this was a lot bigger. So the bigger ones came down here, and then the smaller one in the center. But you could do whatever you want. This is your project, and you can do. So there's a little opening here, and you're going to stick this edge right in between those binding pieces. And you just want to keep watching this and see how nice this is feeding. That we did that Wonder Tape in there. But you still want to keep an eye on it. And now we're going to get some double thicknesses here. See how nice that's doing? I'm going to unwind some of this. Sometimes if it gets too much, you can unwind it. There we go. And you just want to go nice and slow, making sure that you're catching all the layers. We're still in double layers, so now I'm going to watch because this next part is going to go in. And I just want to make sure that's nice and smooth. And just kind of push it in there. And then when we get to the edge of this, we're also going to chain off to create the other end of the tie. So we've got our binding put on, the chain stitch in the back, and so that you can make any length of a banner you want. And you can also just use individual pieces and eliminate this part and just create this banner with just the two sides put together. So This bias binder, I am a big fan. It's really nice. I hope you enjoyed this little demo. I just wanted to share with you some things you can do. I have a little granddaughter, Ella, and I just made her a little, she's got succulents in her room, and I found this fabric and I thought it'd be cute, and I just appliqued her name on there. And I did serge over a cord, something like this. And there is Ella's. Now, another thing I did here on this 4th of July banner, it's 7.5 feet long, so it's quite long to show all this here. But what I did is I used my silhouette and I used a heat transfer and just pressed the letters on the banner. So you'll see a full picture on the end of the video, or the beginning of the video. So a couple things I wanted to go over. Another thing is the extra wide double fold bias tape that you can purchase pre-made is 1 7/8 inch wide. So that will work with this bias binder. It'll work just fine. Or like you can cut your own bias strips. And then another thing I would recommend is either using a glue stick or the Wonder Tape to press down the one edge that goes in first. So it's going to face the machine, so it would be this edge that would go in first, and you just put that little temporary Wonder Tape in there, and then you won't have to worry about that getting caught into the bias binder. Another thing we use is the fray check. When using the rolled edge, I did fray check on the edges and let that dry. One other thing I did want to share with you that I found on the demo, we had the rolled hem on the top of the triangle also. I'd probably eliminate that because there was a little bit of a struggle pushing that through all those layers. So it might work out best if you eliminate doing that top, and then it would also save on thread. But another thing you could do is put it together just with a chain stitch with you could use maybe the lace applicator foot or one of the other feet to attach just the ribbon to the top of it. So there's a lot of things that you can do with this. It's really a creation of your own. So if you're interested in any of these notions that we used in this video, please visit Phil's Sewing in Washington, Missouri, and talk to either Larry or Annette, and they'll be happy to help you with any of the notions you may need, or even the machines. So until next time.